At dinner with my parents, she said, "Your son's sweet, but I'm still exploring my options." I let go of her hand, stood, and said, "We should go." My parents sat frozen, shock on their faces, as I guided her out without a word. At her door, she tried to explain. I said simply, "You're free to explore now," and left. The drive home was quiet, heavy with a clarity I had never experienced before. Chloe scrolled on her phone, blue light cutting sharp angles across her face. I asked, "You ready?" She said, "Yeah, totally," without looking up. Her distraction had been all week. Her excuses had always sounded logical until they weren't. I had spent the afternoon imagining a future with her, rehearsing the words to invite her to move in, to make our lives one. But tonight, the illusion shattered. Dinner had been perfect. My parents' warmth, my dad's famous pot roast, Sinatra floating softly from the stereo. Chloe sat near me, social charm engaged, leg brushing mine. My heart had relaxed. And then the words landed like a knife. I need to explore my options. Her hand pressed over mine. Her eyes, once a center of gravity, were now elsewhere. I felt the cold trickle of betrayal. 2 years reduced to an experiment. I slid my hand away. I stood, mechanically, precisely. "We should go," I said. My voice was flat, calm, alien even to me. I guided her out of the chair, out the door, and into the cold night. She demanded explanations, excuses, anything. I drove. I didn't answer her. I didn't look at her. "You humiliated me," I said finally. "You reduced our life together to a trial run." She spun words, frantic, justifying, apologizing, rationalizing, but I only absorbed, silently, the truth of who she was. At her building, I parked. Engine idling, I got out, opened her door. "Mark, talk to me, please," she said. I looked at the girl I'd loved and felt nothing. No love, no hate, only clarity. "You're free to explore now," I said. I returned to the driver's seat, closed the door, and drove away. Each block, the weight lifted. By the time I reached home, the silence in my apartment was no longer emptiness. It was mine. I didn't call. I didn't cry. I simply breathed. I cleaned, cooked, coded, and returned to the routines that reminded me of who I was without her. I joined a gym, learned to lift weights, pushed my body past its limits, feeling my strength grow with each repetition. I reconnected with friends. I dated, slowly, deliberately. Sarah, a grounded, calm presence, entered my life. 4 months later, walking through a sunlit farmer's market, we debated tomatoes and bread, immersed in easy companionship. Then I saw her, Chloe, standing 10 feet away, latte in hand, composed but strained, her gaze searching mine. She approached, desperate for a connection. "Can we just get a coffee? Talk as friends?" she asked. I said no. I didn't hesitate. My calm, definitive tone left no room for argument. Sarah, sensing the moment, stayed by my side. Chloe's eyes flicked between us, processing, realizing that I had moved on. "I miss you," she whispered. It was hollow, scripted. I looked at her, truly looked, and felt nothing, but faint, distant pity for the ghost she chased. "Chloe, no," I said, voice steady. "This is Sarah. We're in the middle of our day." Her eyes met Sarah's for the first time, and the desperation gave way to the awareness that the life she wanted was no longer mine to give. "I don't think about you," I said. Not a boast, not a jab, just truth. "I wish you well, but please don't contact me again." I turned to Sarah, softening instantly. "Sweetheart, the bakery stall with the sourdough is this way. We're close." Her smile, real, warmed me. We walked. We merged back into the flow of the market, the smells of fresh bread, coffee, and rain-washed strawberries filling the air. I did not look back. Sarah's hand tightened around mine. I whispered, "It's okay. It's all okay." And it was. The weight of the past, the humiliation, the heartbreak, it was gone, dissolved into the noise and life of the present. The past was a closed chapter. I had been free for a long time, long before that Saturday morning. Chloe's choices, her explorations, her mistakes, they belonged to her. My life belonged to me. I had rebuilt it with quiet determination, with discipline, friendship, and love that was steady, mutual, and real. The road ahead was mine, unwritten, unencumbered, and I felt it fully for the first time. No drama, no lingering sting, just the warmth of the present, the strength of self, and the clarity that comes from finally letting go. I was free. Weeks passed, and life settled into a rhythm I hadn't realized I was capable of enjoying. The apartment felt like mine in every sense, not because it had walls or furniture, but because it held the quiet, deliberate space I had carved from chaos. I cooked, I read, I worked, and I moved through the world with a sense of calm authority I hadn't known before. Chloe's shadow, once looming over every decision, had disappeared. Then came the messages, unknown numbers, pleas, apologies. Each ping was a reminder that her life was still tethered to mine in memory, if not in reality. I opened none of them. I didn't need to. Her desperation was no longer mine to manage. I archived, blocked, moved on. It wasn't cruelty. It was self-preservation, a simple boundary reinforced with every silent decision. A month later, an old friend, James, called. He told me what I had already suspected from muted gossip and public scraps. Chloe had thrown herself into something intense, a man with flashy cars, flashy promises, and a veneer of excitement. He had drained her patience, her friends, even her confidence. Predictably, the world she had chased, the thrill she had craved, was unsustainable. I listened, detached. The news was neither satisfying nor painful. It was factual. Exploration had consequences, and she was now navigating them. I didn't gloat. I didn't celebrate. I merely observed. The old versions of Mark, the ones who had questioned, feared, hoped to save, were gone. What remained was a man who understood boundaries, sovereignty, and the quiet power of letting go. My attention shifted outward, my coding projects, my fitness goals, the classes I had put off for years, the friends who truly mattered. The empty hours I once feared were now fertile ground for growth. Then, one morning, a text. Chloe. Words like shards. Mark, I think I made a terrible mistake. Can we talk? I felt nothing but a neutral, almost scientific interest. The opportunity to respond had passed. I saved the message, archived it, then blocked the number. Her regrets belonged to her. They were data points, not invitations. I went about my day, unshaken. Life continued. I met Sarah through a project at work, a quiet, steady presence who made my world feel expansive, not constricted. She laughed without calculating, smiled without performing. 4 months later, walking through the farmer's market hand in hand, I felt fully present in the world again. Fresh bread, roasted coffee, rain-washed strawberries, simple pleasures that had been eclipsed by the storm of my past. And then I saw her, Chloe. Across the aisle, latte in hand, composed but strained. She saw me, noticed Sarah, and froze. The realization was immediate. The person she had dismissed, the stability she had abandoned, was no longer available to her. Her eyes searched for a foothold, a crack in the new life I had built. There was none. Mark, she began, rehearsed, fragile. Can we talk? I shook my head, gently but decisively. No, Chloe. This is Sarah, I said, gesturing to my side. My tone was calm, immovable. Sarah's presence anchored the moment. Chloe's gaze flicked between us, calculating, realizing the futility of her approach. I miss you, she said again. It was hollow, a script with no audience. I felt a faint, distant pity for the ghost she chased. Chloe, no, I said, voice steady. This is my life now. We are in the middle of our day. Her eyes met Sarah's fully for the first time, and the desperation faltered. The raw need, the manipulations, the pleading, all dissolved against the quiet certainty I had cultivated. I don't think about you, I added. Not a weapon, not a boast, just truth. I wish you well, truly, but do not contact me again. My tone left no ambiguity. The words landed, clean and absolute. She looked at me, her composure cracking, a trace of the old arrogance replaced by bewildered recognition. I turned, gently shifted my focus to Sarah, and the shift in energy was instantaneous. Sweetheart, the bakery stall with the sourdough is this way. We're close. Sarah smiled genuinely, and we moved together, blending into the vibrant swirl of the market. Chloe's presence lingered for a heartbeat, a phantom weight, but then it was gone, dissolved into the rhythm of life. I didn't feel triumph. I didn't feel vindication. I felt peace. The past, with all its drama, betrayal, and disappointment, was a closed chapter. The life I had built afterwards was solid, deliberate, and unshakable. Every decision, every boundary, every moment of self-respect had led to this clarity. I had reclaimed my time, my space, my energy. I had become the person I wanted to be, unencumbered by the expectations or errors of another. Chloe's exploration had ended. My life had begun anew. The market's warmth, the smell of fresh bread, the easy laughter of strangers, the quiet confidence of Sarah at my side. It was reality, not an aspiration. And for the first time in months, I felt fully, profoundly present. The past was gone, and with it, any lingering ties to fear, resentment, or longing. I had learned the most important lesson. Freedom wasn't the absence of constraint. It was the ability to protect what was yours, cultivate what mattered, and walk through the world unburdened by what others could not give. I was free. I had always been free. And now the future was unbroken, waiting, and mine to claim.